Guys, let's talk featherweight. Volkanovski, specifically. There are 3 options available right now. So I want you to respond. I want to hear from you, but I want you to do it within the confines that I'm setting up now, which is 3 options. Option A, unemployment. What do I mean by unemployment? Well, if Volkanovski doesn't get a fight, he's unemployed. When you have Yair and Max Holloway tied up in the future, which appears to be a glaringly obvious number 1 contenders fight, but it's still in the future. And you got Volkanovski, who at the post-fight press conference only asked for one thing, which is activity. He furthered his claim and bolstered his request of activity by saying, I'll even leave the weight class. That wasn't a typical guy banging his chest, trying to talk about I'm the greatest or any of these things. He didn't even call for a title fight. He just said, I will go to 155. If it gets me another match sooner, I want to fight. Now, we have to listen to that, because if you're not going to show a level of respect to the request of the champion, what in the hell is the point of talking to him in the first place? You ever had anybody do that to you? I can remember being in a bar with my dad. We were in a sports bar. My dad liked to bet on the horses. I was 22 years old. I was in there with him. The gal comes up and she says to me, how old are you? And I said, 22. And she says, show me your ID. And I was taking it out of my wallet, but I'm thinking, ma'am, if you weren't going to believe me, why did you ask me in the first place? Like, we could have skipped the whole conversation of how old I was if the ID's coming out anyway. And it just seems like one of these spots. Why ask Volkanovski his opinion and what he would like to do if we're not going to listen to it and show our best ability to accommodate it, thus respecting it? Why? So you got one option of unemployment. The next option is Giga. Giga is your next option at 145 pounds, particularly not only for the 2 things that Volkanovski wants. One is to be busy. Giga's ready today. I spoke to Giga today. He is ready to fight right now, just to clear any of that up. Secondly, Volkanovski would like, and he didn't mention this in the post-fight press conference, but he has alluded to it several times, he would like some parity. If I have to fight Max again, then I'll fight Max again. But he would like some parity coming in there. And Giga would definitely be new and fresh. And as amazing as the fight is between Max and Yair, and that pops off the page. Cannot wait for that match. Max is still the favorite. So if we're to go off of what's supposedly going to happen, then you are setting up Volkanovski to go and fight Max for the 3rd time. How many times does Volk have to do it? And this is coming from a guy that believes Volk lost both of those fights. I think that Max won the first fight. I thought Max clearly won the second fight. At the same time, can't put that on Volkanovski. I can't put my opinion on Volkanovski and say that he has to go out there and do it again and again and again and again. I mean, where does that end? If Max goes out and beats Volkanovski, you don't think that Volkanovski deserves? Right? Volkanovski's given him 2 opportunities. That would constitute 3. If Max succeeded in one of those, you don't think Volkanovski's owed 1? So then we go out to the 4th fight. But I mean, do you see where at some point we got to get on with it? Giga represents, to a very high degree, getting on with it. Now, we can't turn our back on the idea of Max earning his way back to a title fight. So we're juggling a lot of things here, right? If we're not turning our back on the chance of Max re-getting a shot, then how many things does Max have to do well until he gets the shot? Look, I get it's tough. I'm not passing a judgment here. I'm asking you guys to share an opinion. But that's what you're looking at, and that's the argument to Giga. Now, I would be very strong on Giga or bust, because I thought, as early as this morning, it was between putting Volkanovski on ice, one thing that he doesn't want to do, or putting him in there with Giga. I thought it was as obvious as that, but now Henry Cejudo has come out with a very compelling challenge, and it's compelling for one reason. It is the first time I have heard Henry Cejudo speak in 2 years. There was no gimmick. There was no gimmick. For a guy to come out and call somebody out, particularly over social media, and look for a level of attention, there are some call-outs that are so ridiculous that Dana, even if he was interested, isn't even going to call and ask you if you want to do it. He's going to know that you're working in the first place. He's going to know that you were not serious in the first place. He will know that you're looking for attention. He's not going to waste his time. He's done this too long. He picks up on clues. Henry's challenge to Volkanovski was the real Henry Cejudo. Not the king of cringe, not the champ, not Triple C. This was Henry Cejudo. And he was speaking as a competitor. And he had plenty of beautiful things to say about Volkanovski. The only slide he put in there, Alexander the Great, he called him Alexander the Average. But that was the only shtick that was done. He spoke about himself, about his own wrestling, spoke about his height, pointed out the height difference and how he thinks that could help him. Talked about the pressure that he can nullify. Talked about the motivation of having an opportunity to be the first ever triple champion. It was just a very real, it's a very pure interview. You are going to be left with, does Henry at all deserve that? And if you're Dana and you got a guy who you gave an opportunity and then he walked away from your belt and left a division in shambles, do you want to bring him back in? Or are you going to learn from the mistakes of your past, not want to give Henry the opportunity? For what if Henry wins and then he walks away and does it to you again? The old expression, fooled me once, right? But fooled me twice. I mean, it's a tough spot. So all these things are up in the air. I would bring to you that I do believe that Henry is serious and that if he is called and he is offered that opportunity, that he would take it. We know Volkanovski would take it. Volkanovski is willing to go up a weight class and take on Poirier and company, for goodness sakes. I don't know if you could say, I'd like to hear. I don't know if you guys will hedge towards, yes, let's bring in Henry, that's great, former champion, makes all the sense, over that of an active, hungry, successful fighter in Giga. Or if you subscribe to, no, this Max, your ear, number one contenders fight, and so your champion, Volk, who's done everything right, has to remain unemployed. But those are your three options. Tell me what you think.